The man whose jersey will giving away to this young man who's wearing glass, trying to look like a nice guy, but we know he's not.
Awoniyi is part of. He will still be part of the team.
I want to ask you this question: do you think that Awoniyi did himself good at the Nations Cup? Like, be holistic. Forget whether I give jersey to give away. Now let's analyze this thing well. Do you think, on the strength of his performance at the Nations Cup, he did himself enough to take claim to that jersey? Because let's put it this way: that two more strikers are going to come to that team, and the way it is, Sadiq Umar did a whole lot of good for himself. He did a whole lot of good because he grew in the tournament. Even the blind can see that. The Taiwo Awoniyi did enough to convince you, leave the coaches or the other people now, to convince you that he deserved to go to the World Cup when we qualify over Ghana?
I really don't think so. Well, if you ask me, I think in terms of energy. I was looking at the stats from Football Ref yesterday on Victor Osimhen, the amount of times he presses his opposition in that game against Inter Milan and over the course of last season. In terms of that, that hassling of defenders, not giving the defenders time on the ball. I think he's the closest we've got, Taiwo Awoniyi. We saw that in the games at the AFCON. But, we all want to see goals. We all want to see, what you put out at the end of the day is the numbers. The game today is about numbers. And the goal is scored. You might want to discredit that goal, maybe a fluke goal, or you might want to call it a goal is a goal. But I don't think he did enough to stake a claim moving forward. For maybe the occasion was bigger than him. I mean, you haven't played for the Super Eagles before. Your first game was in a crucial World Cup qualifier against Cape Verde in Nigeria, where he came on, he missed some couple of chances.
Three chances.
Well. The pressure was, and now you get your full competitive debut in the major tournament like the AFCON. So just maybe the occasion was bigger than him, but I didn't think he did enough to stake a claim. But if you ask me, it's the closest we've got to Victor Osimhen. Looking at the striking options we've got.
I think he's gonna make the World Cup team when we qualify, and all this is predicated on we qualifying for the World Cup. But then let me bring in our guest into the conversation. You kind of like got lucky and won Taiwo Awoniyi's jersey, right? You are, what's your name again?
Raji Moshood.
Talk the way you tweet. The way your tweet is rude. You're rude like that on the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Raji Moshood.
Okay, so you've been on my tail for a while from my days in Brilla. You won this jersey, and at some point you felt like maybe the jersey has come. We don't want to give it to you. That's like, shut up. I saw your tweet. And talk to me about Taiwo Awoniyi. As a Nigerian football fan, so you're not an analyst now. As a football fan, because let's get the pulse of the fan, because we analysts sometimes could be just biased. Let's get the pulse of a fan. As a fan, they call the team list for the World Cup, 23 man going to the World Cup. Yes. Taiwo Awoniyi is there on that squad, and maybe one of the strikers that you think should make it is not there. What would be your reaction?
If he doesn't make the World Cup team?
No, if he make the World Cup team.
Fantastic. I think Taiwo Awoniyi getting a place in the national team will be a fantastic job. Just getting on the plane to Qatar, I think he will be a squad player, obviously. Because from the get-go, his career has always been a guy who takes the second chance. When those little opportunity comes, Taiwo Awoniyi always grab that opportunity from his time at under 17 level, at the under 23. He was never the go-to guy. He was just the second choice striker, and most times he used those opportunities well. And seeing him in this Nations Cup, I think he was not ready to be the anchor man for us, but the occasion was big. I think he did well. Coming from the fact that this is just his first tournament, and I think he will make the.
So let me reverse it now. They call out the list and it's not there. God forbid, but it's not there.
I'll be very, very disappointed.
You'll be disappointed
because this is actually his second season playing football, like at his club level, consistent football. All the other times he will just be on loan, not playing. So this is the time that his performance, his numbers for club has been good, because there are some players that will do well at club side, but once they get that national team call up, they are never at their best. So by virtue of his club performance, I think he deserves to be on the team.
Manuel, over to you.
How much of a time do we need for a national team player? We will see players that they play 1 or 2 games. There's no time with the national team. If you get your chance, you use it. If you get your chance, you make sure you use it. But I want that player that he would say he wasn't given much time, because He was a starter at the AFCON. He's played some couple of games. Is he enough time for us to see what he can do with the national team? That's been that's one of the major things.
So I think that the engine of the national team going into the AFCON, there was too much baggages, too much drama. Players were not even sure. There was so much uncertainty around the team. It was Ganathro that brought in Awoniyi to this national team. The coach that was now brought in to go to the Nations Cup was mentioned as interim. He's the football director. It's not the coach. While they were preparing the 10 days that they had to prepare for the Nations Cup, there was a certain Pesero that was going on somewhere there, and some other names that have been mentioned. As a player, you get a little bit distracted. You don't even know that most of these players went to the Nations Cup because the squad was not big enough. We didn't. Do you know one thing that Nigerians didn't notice was Nigeria is the only country that didn't drop a single player. Everybody that came to camp went to the Nations Cup. So it wasn't really battle royale like qualification. We're fighting for shirts. We came in we go die today. We actually begged the ragtag team to go to the Nations Cup. So on that one, based on your question of time, I think that there was not enough time for this team to really get together, get in the shindig and fight for jerseys. Everybody just came in like the expendable, like mercenaries. Like, guys, let's just go and do this, okay? But going to the World Cup is going to be a different kettle of fish. They will have minimum 2 weeks to prepare. You have a team of close to 40 put together, and then everybody will come fight for their shirt, and then the coach will sit back. Also, you can't even say that you can judge this team fairly and squarely, because a Guaiva on his own was every day he goes to training. The next day he's thinking from his house that I'm not sure I'm going to be the one in the training tomorrow morning. And then remember, we had 12 players in camp for a very long time before we had full team players, even when the captain of the team was somewhere watching games and jumping around. We've all forgotten that because the 3 first group games were fantastic. Nigerians were clapping their hands, waiting for the team to be defeated in the group stage, and then we unleash our venom on everybody that Guavon is a bad coach. We all knew that. Ahmed Musa team camp, but that didn't happen. So on that front, I think that the only thing missing for Taiwo Awoniyi's game was the goals. Other than that, is against Egypt, I could tell you that one of the reasons why Egypt didn't beat us. Look at every other game that Egypt played after Nigeria. They won because there was nobody harassing their defense line.
Yeah.
Even in the finals, the semi-finals against Cameroon, if you notice, as good as Ekambi and Abubakar, they were always dropping back. They were always playing with this mindset of, don't let Salah be free. Nigeria didn't play with Salah in mind. Nigeria played the game with, I guess that was the only game we really prepared for. Every other game we just went there with the arrogance of we're Nigeria. We prepared for that game that, look, listen, the way Egypt play, they build up from the back. Their defenders take the ball to the midfielders, and midfielders take it wide to Salah or create chances for Salah to go and score, because if you give Salah freedom in your box, he would kill you. So Nigeria made sure that the game was very, very compact. They used the whole length of the field at the same time. But Taiwo Awoniyi was multiplying himself like 4 in 1 at every given time. So Egypt didn't have that time to really settle at the back. And once that game plan, they say in football, when I was playing football, coaches will tell you that if you manage to disrupt the game plan of the opposition, you have already won the game even before the game started. Because for as long as they can't settle into their game plan, it's always going to be difficult. And when you have one player, that's why when Barcelona had Messi in his heyday, no matter your strategy, it's hard because Messi alone eliminates 4 of your players. So you're already playing 4-man down before the game starts. What kind of strategy can I give you an additional 4 men? What Awoniyi did against Egypt was eliminate at least 3 players at a given time. Like, they can't settle into their stride, they can't run. This energy was too much. So that was a plus for the team. When we went into the Sudan and the Guinea game, let's just regular these guys. If we beat Egypt, then we can beat these people. And we did do that. Maybe we carry that attitude again into the Tunisia game. Like, if we can beat a whole Egypt, we'll beat Tunisia. And then they have COVID. 12 of the players have COVID. We didn't know who had the COVID, but we just know they say 12. Whether it's 12 players who would never ever play for the team, or, we didn't know that. And then we also didn't realize that they have backup players that they could call. When it happened, it was too late. Before we decided to get back into the game, it was too late. So talking about time, I think that Taiwo Awoniyi has really not had the time a player need to settle into a team, because the attitude of going to save a burning house is different from the attitude of going into a house where there is party. So I think that going to the World Cup, when we qualify, because we have Ghana, and let's not pretend or feel so big that Ghana is not important. Ghana is very, very important. They are a big team, and we must treat them as such. Treat them tougher than the way we treat Egypt, and then hopefully we qualify. When we qualify, I think it's the thing is, the World Cup is in November, so I'm cracking my head and I'm saying, so the season starts in August. At what point would FIFA say, okay, give them a break? At what point would the European League say, okay, let's get this break and let this team go? Or we're going to have the same situation with the Nations Cup, but because European teams are also going to go to the World Cup, maybe the conversation will be different. So if we have 2 weeks, say 15 days leading to the World Cup before you pick your team and you drop the ones you want to drop, believe me, it's gonna be beautiful. I think it's gonna be different. The coach will see burst of pace, commitment, work. Everybody would work hard. It's a coach that have that headache of having 40 players in camp and having to pick 23 and then tell 17 hasta la vista, go and watch the World Cup from the television or from your club training base with our ways. But I think that time we cannot judge Awoniyi. I can't judge any player in the team, but one player that really impressed me at the Nations Cup at the AFCON was Umar Sadiq. Also the fullbacks Olaina and Zaidu Sanusi impressed me a lot. I can't speak much of Kenneth Omeruwa because people are like, oh, you like him already. He can never do wrong with you. And Wilfred Ndidi also impressed me a whole lot. Jaribu, yes, above average, and then the rest of them. But I think that the funny thing, one player that might get dropped and people will be surprised. How did that happen? It's Kelechi Iheanacho. Like people will be surprised that how did that happen? But he's the only 8 in the team. Okay, he's the only 8. He's the only forward player that have left foot too. That's good. But if he doesn't get his game up, you understand, his game consistently up, it might just be one of that player that they drop, and people will be surprised. But that's a possibility.
All right, talking about Umar Sadiq, 10 goals in the La Liga Smart Bank so far this season. Almeria are looking on course to get promoted. They were so close last time out, and they're looking on course to get automatic promotion into the La Liga this season and for next season.
You are listening to Elegbete TV Radio.